Before Dragon Ball Super went on a break, we saw a number of characters receive notable increases in power in a short amount of time. But when you think about the history of Dragon Ball, I don't think it should be surprising. But it made me ask the question, who is the strongest character in Dragon Ball right now? Now, of course, the correct answer is Zeno. That's obvious. But getting to that answer doesn't require any thinking. We've known for years that Zeno stands at the top of the food chain with his ability to destroy entire universes. But there's another reason I don't like bringing Zeno up in this conversation, and that reason is that Zeno doesn't fight. So in the pursuit of making a relevant top 10 list, I had to do a couple of things. First is to not include the angels, because if I did, this would be the list, and there's no fun in that. I also had to not include the gods of destruction because if I did, the list would look like this. And again, there's no fun in that for me. I also didn't include any dead characters, so characters like Moro, Zamasu, and Gas will not be on this list even though they were stronger than some of those on this list while they were alive. So with that being said, at number 10, I was conflicted.
I remember you was conflicted.
Fighting for this spot was the Gammas, Hit, and Kale, and I ended up going with Hit. For Hit, I just go back to how he and Goku fought kinda evenly before the Tournament of Power, and then being able to even fight with Jiren, although it wasn't a very long fight. Kale did have that moment in the Tournament of Power where she went berserk and most of the participants were in trouble, but in that situation, Jiren was able to neutralize her with one shot. I simply don't think Jiren could do that to Hit. And for the Gammas, I just can't place them. I know they are weaker than Piccolo and Ultimate Gohan, but are they as strong as Tournament of Power Super Saiyan Blue Goku? I don't think I can say that confidently, and so I have Hit above them as he starts my top 10. At number 9, I have Toppo. When Toppo was introduced in the exhibition match before the tournament, it was clear that he was a god-level fighter as he was able to go toe-to-toe with Goku. But in the later stages of the Tournament of Power, Toppo revealed a form that shows just why he was in line to become the next god of destruction for his universe. He absolutely humiliated Golden Frieza, Android 17 couldn't really do anything either, and he only went down to an attack from Vegeta that we all thought was a sacrifice. His ability to push Evolution Blue Vegeta to that point proves that he's above a character like Kid. Next up is Piccolo. Yes, I think Orange Piccolo is much stronger than almost everyone in the Tournament of Power, making this the first big jump in power for this list. Now I know Toriyama said that Piccolo was equal to Goku and Vegeta in this form, but there's evidence that leads me to believe otherwise. Maybe Toriyama meant Goku and Vegeta in their Super Saiyan Blue forms, because Goku and Gohan have fought recently and they seem to be pretty close in power. Superhero makes it abundantly clear that there's a gap between Gohan and Piccolo, which leads me to believe that there's also a gap between Goku and Piccolo. And I'm sorry, just from my own personal opinions, Piccolo can't fight with Mastered Ultra Instinct Goku or even True Ultra Instinct. I just don't believe that. I do think it's great that we have multiple characters in the story that are able to compete at a certain level like Goku and Vegeta, but there's still a gap there. At number 7 is Jiren the Grey. One thing I do want to make clear about Jiren is that if he were still in the story, I think he'd be at the top of this list. His character is based around being this immovable object as Goku was an unstoppable force, but at this point, Jiren cannot fight with Goku. Too much has happened since then. Another thing that I've seen people get confused with Jiren is his strength in comparison to Goku's in the tournament. At their respective peaks, they were not close. Even after Jiren broke his own limits, Goku was still in the class by himself. Mastered Ultra Instinct Goku and Jiren did not fight evenly, and the only reason the tournament ended the way it did was because Goku didn't truly master the technique and he ran out of energy. Now I know I'm going over what should be common knowledge, but I've seen way too many people talk about how Jiren and Goku were close in strength, and that's simply not the case. But away from that point, I do think Jiren can easily deal with Ultra Instinct Sign. I do not think Piccolo can beat Ultra Instinct Sign, which is why I have Jiren over him. Now for everyone up until this point, I use the anime or movies as my point of reference. From here on out, all of my placements will be based on the manga and the manga alone. At number 6 is Granola. Introduced as a person with a grudge against the Saiyans from long ago, I was excited to witness how his story would play out. When the story arc first began, I couldn't help but think, what can this dude possibly do against Goku and Vegeta? But very early into the arc, we saw something happen that we rarely see in Dragon Ball. The character was able to make a crazy wish without any interference. Granola wished to become the strongest in the universe and it worked. He took on Goku and Vegeta in their strongest forms before the fight with Gas, and he won those fights convincingly. But after Gas's wish to become the strongest in the universe, Granola's unreal growth stopped, allowing other characters to pass him up, and we saw this specifically with Goku when he began using True Ultra Instinct, which allowed him to fight Gas better than anyone had before. And with the more recent chapters of Dragon Ball Super, we know Goku's strongest form is even beyond that. Now for the top 5. And before I say who is number 5, I do want to say that I think 3, 4, and 5 on this list are interchangeable for the moment. I'll give reasons as to why I have each character placed where they are, but I do think there are good arguments for them to be anywhere within this range. At number 5, I have Gohan, and I know he beat Cell Max, who was unbelievably strong, and I know about the statements made by Toriyama, but this placement comes from his recent fight with Goku. Now I know that neither Goku or Gohan were going all out, as their fight was more of a sparring session for Goku to see just how strong Gohan had become, and they went back and forth for a while. But during the fight, Goku notices that Broly wants to fight, so Goku just pushes Gohan back and lets Broly fight him. It seemed like Goku was in control of their sparring session from start to finish, leading me to believe that if they were to go all out, Goku would have the edge. It's also important to note that in Dragon Ball Super, controlling one's ki has been made a point of emphasis, and Goku clearly has the edge on that front. Beerus and Whis also state that the white-haired Ultra Instinct form is Goku's strongest form, meaning that it is even stronger than the true Ultra Instinct form that was able to compete with Gas. And if you couldn't guess it, at number 4, I have Goku. For all of the reasons I just stated is why he's above Gohan. I'm not a fan of all the different variations for Ultra Instinct, but you can't deny that the main character of the franchise is still one of the strongest. But he did recently lose to his longtime rival, which is why I have Vegeta at number 3. We didn't get to see Vegeta and Goku's most recent fight in full, but we do know that Vegeta won. And although Goku has Ultra Instinct, Vegeta has Ultra Ego, a form that in concept is just as wild as Ultra Instinct. And with Vegeta being a combat genius, it's well within reason to believe that he could now be a little stronger than Goku. Now, if I know Dragon Ball the way I think I do, it won't be too long until Goku does something like this, and it's clearly in the lead again, but for right now, Vegeta has the edge. At number 2 is Broly. His most recent display of power was against Gohan Beast, as Broly finally managed to control his anger and use his Super Saiyan power with control. But during their fight, Beerus and Whis point out that while in this state, Broly is at a disadvantage. So you might be wondering, why do you have Broly at 2 and Gohan at 5? Well, that's because I'm not referring to this Broly when I'm thinking about him being number 2. I'm referring to this one. Although he lacks the control, this Broly here, I believe can easily deal with everyone else on this list up until this point. Especially because we know that the longer he fights, the stronger he gets. And I don't think Goku, Vegeta, nor Gohan have the power to beat Broly quickly. So even if you think he's weaker than them at the start of a fight, which I don't, sooner or later Broly will surpass his opponent. And we saw a character notice this in the Broly movie when Gogeta went straight from Super Saiyan to Super Saiyan Blue to win against Broly quickly. And at number 1 is Frieza. And his explanation is simple. He one-shotted Goku and Vegeta in their strongest forms at the same time. I'm excited to see what its full power looks like because I know it's ridiculous. And that's my top 10.